This month, the universe isn't asking you to take a leap of faith. It's pushing you off the ledge and whispering, you already have wings. From the full moon in Taurus to Mars and Venus in Sagittarius, Mercury retrograde rewriting your inner narrative, and Saturn going direct, shifting your soul back into motion, every sign is being invited to reroute, recenter, and reclaim what really matters. This energy is about alignment over hustle, expansion over control, and power that starts within and not out there. And you're not just manifesting anymore, you're remembering, rebuilding, and rising. So pull up your chart, find your rising sign, and let's dive into the frequency that's calling your name in November.
Aries rising. So this month, your power lies in expansion, alchemy, and soul deep truth. You're not here to play small. November pushes you to evolve from the inside out. This is a month of initiation. With Scorpio and Sagittarius ruling your 8th and 9th houses, November asks for bold emotional honesty and radical faith. You're being cracked open in the best way. You're being called to face your fears, release energetic entanglements, and rewrite the story of what you believe is possible for you. What's dying this month needed to. What's rising will take you further than your old self ever dreamed. On November 4th, Mars enters Sagittarius. You are chasing purpose. Your ruling planet moves into your 9th house of truth, travel, and belief systems. The fire returns to your mind, and you're ready to stretch into new territory. This is movement energy. If you've been craving a shift in scenery, philosophy, or direction, it's time. On November 5th, we have a full moon in Taurus, which is your 2nd house. So a cycle around money, security, or self-worth reaches its climax. Something you've clung to out of comfort may no longer feel aligned. This moon illuminates what you've outgrown and where you're underestimating your own value. Let yourself grieve the old version of safety. Then choose wealth from the inside out. On November 6th, Venus enters Scorpio, which is your 8th house. Your love language is turning deeper. This is a time for intimacy, merging, and soul bond detox. Whether in romance or finances, you're being called to honor where you've overgiven or played small to avoid abandonment. Venus in Scorpio wants realness, not surface-level connection. On November 8th, Uranus re-enters Taurus, which is your 2nd house. So you're being reminded that your worth is not static. Uranus shakes up your money mindset and how you define value, internally and externally. This is a chance to liberate yourself from old income ceilings and outdated beliefs about security. On November 9th, Mercury retrograde begins in Sagittarius. So something about your long-term plans needs to be revisited. This retrograde wants you to slow down before leaping into your next big chapter. Rethink your philosophy. Edit the book. Rewrite the dream. The destination isn't changing, but how you get there might. On November 11th, Jupiter retrograde begins in the sign of Cancer, which is your fourth house. So home becomes the healing ground. This retrograde pulls you back into your emotional roots. You may revisit childhood patterns, family dynamics, or past versions of safety that still linger in your energetic foundation. You're learning to expand from yourself, not away from your past. On November 18th, the Sun in Scorpio makes a conjunction with Lilith in your 8th house. So a shadow truth surfaces with this energy. This is deep emotional territory. Fear, shame, power, taboo. The part of you that's been repressed or labeled too much is ready to be reclaimed. This transit invites you to own your magnetism, release fear of judgment, and speak your truth, even if it shakes the room. On November 22nd, the Sun enters Sagittarius. So the fire returns. You're officially in expansion mode. This is your time to dream bigger and follow the vision that scares you just enough to mean something. Let the old beliefs burn so the new path can light up. On November 28th, Saturn goes direct in the sign of Pisces, which is your 12th house. So the inner work has paid off. For the past couple of months, you've been doing some heavy spiritual lifting, clearing karma, healing, self-sabotage, and learning how to trust the unseen. As Saturn moves forward, the fog lifts. You're stronger now, not because you avoided the shadow, but because you faced it. On November 29th, Mercury retrograde ends in the sign of Scorpio. So what was hidden is now clear. Conversations around sex, power, intimacy, or shared finances may find closure now. Don't be afraid to say what you really mean. And finally, on November 30th, Venus enters Sagittarius. Your heart wants freedom and adventure. This is magnetic energy for long-distance love, spiritual alignment, and falling in love with your future again. Say yes to the thing that gives your spirit wings. Joy is your teacher now. Some of the best ways for you to work with the energy of this month is first to burn the dead weight. Venus and the Sun in your 8th house are clearing the emotional cords that keep you small. Next is to rebuild from truth. Your 9th house is active. Trust your new philosophy, even if it breaks the rules of your past. Next is to let go of scarcity. Uranus and the Taurus full moon say it's time to build your worth on new foundations. Next is to expand from the inside out. The real journey isn't just physical, it's spiritual. And finally, speak powerfully, not prematurely. Mercury retrograde says reflection first, revelation later. A great affirmation for you for the month of November is, I am safe to expand. I am ready to be seen in my power. I follow the truth, even when it asks me to leave the familiar behind. Be sure to let me know how the energy of November is showing up for you in the comments below. And be sure to let the algorithm know this hit. So be sure to like it, share it, and subscribe so you keep getting exactly what you need. And if you're at a crossroads and need more than surface level advice, a private session with me gives you the clarity your soul's been asking for. The link to book your one-on-one with me is below, so be sure to check it out. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Taurus rising. So this month, your power lies in intimacy, identity, and the courage to grow through connection, not isolation. November is about becoming more you than you've ever been. With Scorpio and Sagittarius lighting up your 7th and 8th houses, this is a powerful chapter of emotional bonding, release, and spiritual expansion through your relationships. It's not about control, it's about surrender without losing yourself. And with 2 major events in your sign this month, the full moon and Uranus, your entire energy field is being recalibrated. On November 4th, Mars enters Sagittarius, which is your 8th house. You're diving deep. Mars activates your house of shadow work, soul ties, intimacy, shared resources, and deep psychological healing. It's time to face fears, power struggles, and the stories you've internalized about worthiness in relationships and money. You are alchemizing now with this energy. On November 5th, we have a full moon in Taurus, which of course is your 1st house. This is your moon. A personal culmination is here. A part of you is being released. A self-image, habit, or identity that no longer fits the version of you you're becoming. This full moon wants you to see yourself clearly and own your power unapologetically. Let your body speak and let your truth echo. On November 6th, Venus enters Scorpio, which is your 7th house. So relationships get intense and real. You're craving depth, truth, and reciprocity in your partnerships. No more surface level connections or romanticizing red flags. You're magnetizing soul-aligned relationships that can meet you where you actually are, not where you pretend to be. On November 8th, Uranus re-enters Taurus. So you've been changing in ways people can't necessarily see, but now they will. Uranus in your sign is electric, unpredictable, and liberating. Let go of the pressure to be stable, constant, or pleasant. Embrace the version of you that's been trying to break free. On November 9th, Mercury retrograde begins in Sagittarius. So unfinished emotional business resurfaces. This Mercury retrograde brings insight and revision around finances, trust, sex, or healing work. Speak honestly. Renegotiate boundaries and reclaim the parts of yourself you've been giving away too easily. On November 11th, Jupiter retrograde begins in the sign of Cancer. This is your third house, so this is a time for you to rewire your mind. This retrograde reactivates childhood beliefs, communication patterns, and how you process emotion. The stories you tell yourself are evolving, and your voice is becoming a tool for healing, not self-doubt. On November 18th, the Sun conjuncts Lilith in Scorpio. So you're not here to dim your power in love. A confrontation with relational shame or silenced truth is coming to the surface. Where have you been shrinking to be chosen? What have you tolerated in the name of peace? This is your moment to choose yourself while still staying open to real connection. On November 22nd, the Sun enters Sagittarius. So you are ready to expand. A new perspective is forming. Whether you're drawn to travel, study, publishing, or spiritual growth, this season says yes. Say yes to the opportunity that stretches you beyond what you thought was possible. On November 28th, Saturn goes direct in the sign of Pisces. This is in your 11th house. So your future is real and it's worth building. Saturn has been restructuring your community, friendships, and long-term dreams. If you felt disconnected or uncertain about your place in the world, that fog is lifting. You're becoming who you need to be to hold the dream. On November 29th, Mercury retrograde ends in the sign of Scorpio. So clarity returns in relationships. If conversations have been emotionally charged, stuck, or avoidant, there's now space for resolution. What's been unspoken can finally be said. Say it from the heart, not the wound. And finally, on November 30th, Venus enters Sagittarius. So love becomes a journey. You're magnetized to people and experiences that remind you how big life can be. Romance, healing, and soul alignment arrive when you follow curiosity instead of comfort. Explore the unknown. Your heart will thank you. Some of the best ways for you to work with the energy this month is first to let go of the version of you that made everyone else comfortable. The full moon and Uranus want the real you to lead. Next is be willing to face uncomfortable truths in love. The 7th, 8th house Scorpio focus is here to set you free. Next is to reclaim your voice. Jupiter in the 3rd is helping you unlearn emotional censorship. Next is to let love and money mirror your growth. This is a month of relational clarity and energetic balance. And finally, take your expansion seriously. The 9th house activations aren't just about belief. They are about becoming. A great affirmation for you for the month of November is, I trust my evolution. I speak truth, release fear, and allow love to transform me, not contain me. Be sure to let me know how the energy of November is showing up for you in the comments below. And of course, if this lit you up, be sure to hit like, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you never miss the next download. And if love ever made you feel like you weren't enough, my Venus Activation Prompt Journal will help you rewrite that narrative from the inside out. So be sure to check it out. The links are below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Gemini rising. So this month, your power lies in the sacred shift from burnout to embodiment, from hustle to wholeness. Now, November cracks open several houses for you, including your 6th, 7th, and 8th, inviting you to evolve how you show up in work, love, healing, and belief. This month isn't just about productivity, it's about purpose. You're being called to rethink the rules you live by, especially in your relationships and routines. You're breaking old contracts with exhaustion and stepping into deeper emotional integrity. On November 4th, Mars enters Sagittarius, which is your 7th house. Mars is charging into your relationship sector, igniting both passion and potential conflict. You're being asked to take aligned action in love, whether that means setting boundaries, pursuing someone with intention, or walking away with clarity. It's not about power plays, it's about sacred agreements. On November 5th, we have a full moon in Taurus, which is your 12th house. This moon is deeply spiritual for you. A chapter ends in your subconscious. You're releasing hidden self-sabotage, guilt, or emotional patterns that have quietly ruled your life. Let yourself grieve what you've outgrown. Make space for divine rest, solitude, and healing. On November 6th, Venus enters Scorpio. So this is your 6th house. With this energy, love meets routine. So you're craving more depth and meaning in your daily life. This transit can bring sacred transformation to your work, wellness, and self-worth. You can ask yourself, do your relationships support your peace? Does your schedule honor your body? Reorganize everything from love. On November 8th, Uranus re-enters Taurus. So a long-term awakening is happening behind the scenes. With Uranus in your 12th house, you're breaking free from subconscious conditioning, old fears, and invisible karmic contracts. Your dreams, intuition, and energy field are transforming. Don't ignore your inner voice. On November 9th, Mercury retrograde begins in Sagittarius. So conversations in relationships may get intense or confusing. This retrograde brings the chance to revisit old dynamics, renegotiate commitments, or rewrite how you communicate in love. Reflect before reacting and listen with your whole heart, not just your mind. On November 11th, Jupiter's retrograde begins in the sign of Cancer. So this is your 2nd house. So, with this, your relationship with money and self-worth are under sacred review. Are you asking for enough? Are you settling for less? This retrograde reactivates abundance lessons from earlier in the year. Reclaim your value, not just in dollars, but in dignity. On November 18th, the Sun makes a conjunction with Lilith in Scorpio. So this is asking you, where have you felt silenced or shamed for needing rest? This activation brings a confrontation with the guilt you've been carrying about being too much or not enough. Honor your body. Rewrite the rules. You don't owe the world your burnout to be worthy of love. On November 22nd, the Sun enters Sagittarius. So the spotlight continues to move through your one-on-one relationships. If you've been hiding behind busyness or independence, now's the time to open. Partnership is your portal to purpose right now. Whether romantic, business, or spiritual, let love mirror your growth. On November 28th, Saturn goes direct in Pisces, which is your 10th house. So your career vision is sharpening. You've been in a testing period around responsibility, visibility, and legacy. Now the fog begins to clear. This is a pivotal moment for long-term success, rooted in soul as opposed to survival mode. On November 29th, Mercury retrograde ends in the sign of Scorpio. So you're gaining clarity around your schedule, habits, and health. What's been draining your energy becomes obvious. A new plan can emerge, one that actually supports your vitality instead of sabotaging it. And finally, on November 30th, Venus enters Sagittarius. This is a beautiful transit for relationships that inspire growth, truth, and adventure. You're magnetizing people who see your potential and want to walk the path with you. If you've been hiding your heart, this is your chance to open wide. Now, some of the best ways for you to work with the energy this month is first to reclaim your daily rhythm. Venus and Mercury in the 6th are asking you to fall in love with your own peace. Next is to let go of relational fantasy. With Mars and Mercury retrograde in the 7th, clarity comes through truth, not projection. Next is to heal your relationship with rest and spiritual surrender. The 12th house full moon and Uranus are waking up your inner mystic. Next is to redefine success. Saturn direct in your 10th house is putting purpose back into your professional path. And finally, open to partnership that reflects your highest self. Venus in Sagittarius is calling in divine collaboration, not distraction. A great affirmation for you for the month of November is, my peace is productive. I release guilt, realign with love, and let relationships reflect the truth of who I am. Be sure to let me know how the energy of November is showing up for you in the comments below. And of course, if this lit you up, be sure to hit like, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you never miss the next download. And if you're done living on autopilot and craving something real, my As Above, So Within astrology prompt journal helps you meet yourself again through your own astrology. The link to get started is below, so be sure to check it out. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Cancer rising. So this month, your power lies in reclaiming joy, softening into embodiment, and rewriting your relationship with daily effort. November asks you to restore the balance between devotion and depletion. You're being pulled between your desire to create, connect, and shine, and your soul's deeper longing to heal, simplify, and reorient your life from pressure to presence. There's a sacred shift unfolding in how you give your energy and who/what you're giving it to. On November 4th, Mars enters Sagittarius, which is your 6th house. So Mars is bringing movement to your work, wellness, and routines. You're being called to get real about how your energy is used, especially where it's being wasted. Motivation returns, but so does urgency. This isn't about productivity for productivity's sake. It's about purifying your path so your effort actually matters. On November 5th, we have a full moon in Taurus, which is your 11th house. This is a reckoning around community, support, and future vision. An old dream may dissolve or be realized. Let go of the people-pleasing version of you that just wants to belong. This moon is your cue to make space for real alignment, real friendships, and goals that reflect who you are now. On November 6th, Venus enters Scorpio. This is sensual, creative, magnetic energy for you. Venus in your 5th reactivates your inner child and sensual confidence. Love becomes more sacred. Play becomes more necessary. Let yourself want more beauty, more desire, and more pleasure. Don't apologize for it. You deserve to enjoy being alive again. On November 8th, Uranus re-enters Taurus. So your social circles and soul-aligned communities are undergoing long-term change. You may feel called to leave a group, shift friendships, or lead in radically new ways. Don't be afraid to walk a different path. The future you're building isn't meant to look like the one you were raised to believe in. On November 9th, Mercury retrograde begins in Sagittarius. So be sure to double check your calendar and health routines. This retrograde reveals where you've been overly reactive instead of intentional. Your nervous system may be craving more peace. Don't force solutions. Listen to your body, revise your daily rhythms, and give your spirit time to catch up. On November 11th, Jupiter retrograde begins in Cancer. So this is a deeply personal moment for you. You're revisiting how you see yourself, how you expand, and how much you allow yourself to receive. Any imposter syndrome, self-doubt, or body shame that's been surfacing isn't truth, it's programming. Reclaim your space. Reclaim your softness. Reclaim you. On November 18th, the Sun conjuncts Lilith in Scorpio. So a deep, raw truth around your sexuality, creativity, or visibility may emerge. You're confronting the shame you were taught to carry around being too much. This is a moment of sacred reclamation. Your joy is not a luxury. It's a portal to your healing. On November 22nd, the Sun enters Sagittarius. So the spotlight turns again to your well-being, habits, and energy management. You're not here to run yourself into the ground to prove your worth. You're here to serve from overflow. Let this be the season you rebuild your systems to support your soul. On November 28th, Saturn goes direct in Pisces. So a major turning point in your beliefs and spiritual growth comes with this. You've been under pressure to commit to a bigger vision, one that includes faith in yourself. If the past few months felt confusing, this direct motion brings clarity about where you're going and why. On November 29th, Mercury retrograde ends in Scorpio. So clarity returns to your creative projects, love life, and emotional expression. If you've been unsure about how to express what you want, this marks a fresh start. Speak from the heart and let it be messy, romantic, or wild if it needs to be. And finally, on November 30th, Venus enters Sagittarius. So let love be part of your healing. Venus here softens your relationship to your work and invites more beauty into your everyday rituals. This is the energy of devotional care, not punishment. Fall in love with the process, not the pressure. Now, some of the best ways for you to work with the energy this month is first to prioritize creative rest. With Venus and Lilith in the 5th, pleasure is medicine. Next is to be discerning with your time and energy. Mars and Mercury in your 6th are helping you to cut energetic clutter. Next is to reclaim your self-image. Jupiter retrograde in your 1st is a mirror for how expansive your spirit truly is. Next is to update your beliefs. Saturn direct is helping you integrate lessons around truth, trust, and vision. And finally, let love soften your daily life. You don't need to suffer to be valuable. A great affirmation for the month of November is, my joy is sacred. I choose peace, pleasure, and purpose without apology. Be sure to let me know how the energy of November is showing up for you in the comments below. And of course, your 3-second ritual: like, share, and subscribe to keep this energy coming your way. And if you've been piecing it all together on your own, this is your sign to stop guessing. Let's go deep into your chart and get you the answers you've been looking for. The link to grab a spot on my calendar is below, so be sure to check it out. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Leo rising. So this month, your power lies in reclaiming joy, rewriting your relationship with love and visibility, and finding safety in emotional truth. This month is a heart opening, ego softening invitation into deeper embodiment. You are no longer here to perform for approval. You're here to live, love, and lead from your core truth. And that truth wants to be expressed in your art, your voice, your sensuality, and your joy. But to fully step into that, you must first feel safe being seen. On November 4th, Mars enters Sagittarius. A fire is reigniting in your creative life. Mars in your fifth house is here to awaken your inner performer, lover, artist, and child. You may feel a burst of energy around dating, creating, or expressing yourself boldly. Let it be unfiltered. Let it be loud. Let it be fully you. This is permission to want more fun, more visibility, and more soul on display moments. On November 5th, we have a full moon in Taurus, which is your 10th house. So something is culminating in your career, reputation, or long-term goals. You may release an identity you've outgrown in the public sphere, or finally be recognized for something you've been building behind the scenes. If you've been hiding your brilliance, this full moon calls it out. It's time to stop downplaying your success. On November 6th, Venus enters Scorpio. So your home, roots, and emotional foundations become a place of deep intimacy. Venus in the fourth house softens your relationship to safety, ancestry, and nourishment. Let yourself romanticize the quiet moments. Tend to your home. Redefine what it means to feel held. This is a beautiful time for sacred solitude, sensual nesting, or healing old family dynamics. On November 8th, Uranus re-enters Taurus. So the long game is shifting. You're being asked to completely rewire what success means to you. Career paths may change unexpectedly, or a deep inner rebellion might arise around the roles you've been playing to be somebody. Let go of the timeline. You're not late. You're just ready for something truer. On November 9th, Mercury retrograde begins in Sagittarius. So love, pleasure, and creative clarity may feel confusing. This retrograde brings back old crushes, creative ideas, or unfinished projects for review. But more than that, it's asking you, do you trust your voice? Do you believe in your worth, even when things feel slow? Let this be a reconnection to joy without performance. On November 11th, Jupiter retrograde begins in the sign of Cancer. This is a soul-deep retreat inward. Jupiter in your 12th house is inviting you to revisit your relationship to surrender, solitude, and divine trust. You're not meant to always be on. Rest is not weakness. This is a call to spiritual renewal and subconscious healing so that you can rise with real clarity later. On November 18th, the Sun will make a conjunction with Lilith in Scorpio. So old emotional wounds around power, safety, and being too much at home are being exposed. You are confronting the parts of you that had to shrink to stay safe in your family or private life. This moment is about reclaiming your wildness, not just in public, but in your roots. Let your home be a space of radical honesty and healing. On November 22nd, the Sun enters Sagittarius. So it's time to shine again. Because the Sun is lighting up your sector for fun and love and creativity, after so much internal work, this transit helps you to remember what you came here to enjoy. So go play, go flirt, go create. Your joy is part of your leadership. On November 28th, Saturn goes direct in the sign of Pisces. So this marks a turning point in shared finances, emotional intimacy, and trust. You've been in a soul apprenticeship with fear, especially around letting people in. Now you get to integrate the lessons and set better boundaries that protect your softness, not close it off. On November 29th, Mercury retrograde ends in Scorpio. So any emotional conversations and home matters are going to start to clarify. If things have felt foggy or tense in family dynamics, this clears the air. A new level of emotional safety becomes possible, especially if you've been willing to speak your truth, even when it shakes. Finally, on November 30th, Venus enters Sagittarius. Venus in your fifth is pure magic. Romance, play, creativity, and soul-stirring joy are back. So let yourself want what you want. Let yourself be adored. Let yourself be the main character, because you are and always have been. Now, some of the best ways for you to work with the energy this month is first to reignite happiness as your sacred rebellion. Let play be your power move. Next is to heal family wounds around safety, shame, and emotional control. Next is to say yes to pleasure without guilt. Venus and Mars in your fifth want you to feel alive. Next is to allow solitude to cleanse you. Jupiter in your 12th is helping you to release ego-driven pressure. And finally, trust the slow path. Saturn in your 8th is building deep intimacy that won't crumble. A great affirmation for you for the month of November is, I radiate joy from a place of truth. My creativity is sacred. My heart is worthy, and my pleasure is allowed. Be sure to let me know how the energy of November is showing up for you in the comments below. And of course, give this video a thumbs up, pass it to your astrology besties, and subscribe for more cosmic truths. And a single session with me can change how you see yourself forever. So I'm ready when you are. The link to book with me is below, so be sure to check it out. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Virgo rising. So this month, your power lies in rooting in emotional clarity, redefining your inner voice, and healing from the inside out. This is the month your internal and external worlds begin speaking the same language. You're releasing the need to explain yourself to people who've already decided not to understand, and reclaiming the full authority of your voice, your ideas, and your inner peace. This month is less about doing and more about realigning. You're getting clear on why you do what you do. On November 4th, Mars enters Sagittarius. So the fire moves inward. Mars in your fourth house activates passion, tension, and forward motion around home, family, and emotional security. You may feel the urge to move, renovate, set firmer boundaries, or finally confront old wounds from childhood. Let this be your liberation. You are not bound to the story you were raised in. On November 5th, we have a full moon in Taurus, which is your ninth house. This is a big release point around belief systems, education, travel, or spiritual worldview. If you've been holding on to outdated truths out of fear of being wrong or misjudged, this full moon invites freedom. You are allowed to evolve beyond what you once needed to believe. You are allowed to change. On November 6th, Venus enters Scorpio, which is your third house. So your words become magnetic. This is a beautiful window for journaling, writing, healing sibling dynamics, or having vulnerable conversations. You may also attract opportunities related to teaching, speaking, or content creation. Venus in Scorpio here says, speak the truth you used to keep quiet. It's time. On November 8th, Uranus re-enters Taurus. So a bigger shift in mindset is underway. Uranus in your ninth is revolutionizing how you define freedom, purpose, and truth. You may be pulled toward unconventional studies, spiritual awakening, or spontaneous adventures that reroute your entire outlook. Trust the shakeup. Your soul is craving expansion. On November 9th, Mercury retrograde begins in Sagittarius. So Mercury, your chart ruler, begins its retrograde in the house of roots and emotional memory. This is a powerful review period for your family stories, home situation, or inner child dynamics. What conversations have you been avoiding? What truths need to be voiced? Not just for closure, but for liberation. On November 11th, Jupiter retrograde begins while in Cancer. So your dreams for the future are revisiting you. This is a soft return to hopes you once had, but maybe abandoned. It's a beautiful time to reconnect with soul-aligned community, spiritual friendships, and causes that feel like home. Let your vision be heart-led again. On November 18th, the Sun makes a conjunction with Lilith in Scorpio. So this is a potent moment of reclaiming your voice. You may confront where you've been silenced, mocked, or shamed for being too sharp, too emotional, or too opinionated. This energy wants you to stop diluting your truth to make others comfortable. You don't owe softness where there's no safety. On November 22nd, the Sun enters Scorpio. So the spotlight begins to shift inward again. This is your season of soul searching. So tend to your emotional foundations. Create sacred routines. Prioritize what feels safe, not just what looks successful. Your nervous system deserves peace, and peace begins with protection. On November 28th, Saturn goes direct in Pisces, which is your 7th house. So relationships begin to crystallize. If you felt foggy around who's truly in your corner, or if boundaries have been a major learning curve, you'll begin to integrate those lessons. Saturn direct here solidifies bonds that are based on mutual respect. You're no longer entertaining relationships that drain your inner stability. On November 29th, Mercury retrograde ends in Scorpio. So mental clarity is returning. You've been reviewing your thoughts, communication patterns, and how you express your truth. Now that Mercury is direct, expect breakthroughs around your message, mindset, and ability to connect. It's time to speak up with conviction and clarity. Finally, on November 30th, Venus enters Sagittarius, so your home becomes a haven again. Venus brings sweetness and healing to your personal space and emotional core. Nest. Light the candles, cry in safety, laugh with loved ones. Create a sanctuary that mirrors your self-worth, because you deserve to feel at home in every sense of the word. Some of the best ways for you to work with the energy this month is first to rebuild your inner sanctuary, physically and emotionally. Mars and Venus in your 4th house are calling you home to yourself. So this is a powerful time to declutter, redecorate, or ground into rituals that soothe your nervous system. Next is to let your voice heal what your silence couldn't. With Scorpio transits in your 3rd house, emotional expression is a sacred tool for healing this month. Write, speak, sing. Don't underestimate how liberating it can be to tell your story, especially the parts you once kept secret out of shame. Next is to reconnect to your long-term vision from a place of truth, not pressure. The full moon and Uranus in your 9th house are shaking up your belief systems. What do you truly want to believe in? What dreams still feel alive beneath the surface noise? Let happiness, not obligation, be your North Star. Next is to make room for joy within your nervous system, not just your calendar. This month is not about productivity. It's about peace. Practice nervous system regulation. Create slow mornings. Learn to pause before saying yes. Your capacity expands when your system is calm. And finally, redefine what love feels like when it's built on safety, not survival. With Saturn turning direct in your 7th house, you're integrating a whole new definition of relationship. This isn't about chemistry. It's about consistency. You're done choosing partners who mirror your trauma. You're choosing the ones who respect your peace. A great affirmation for you for the month of November is, my voice is sacred. My home is my temple. I release the past to make space for the peace I now choose. Be sure to let me know how the energy of November is showing up for you in the comments below. And of course, hit that like button, send this to someone who needs it, and subscribe for more star-powered clarity. And when life feels like it doesn't fit anymore, your birth chart is your blueprint back to alignment. My As Above, So Within journal is here to guide you in asking the right questions and help you remember who you are. So be sure to grab it. The links are below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Libra rising. So this month, your power lies in rebuilding self-worth, rewiring your voice, and shedding money-based shame. This is a financial and mental breakthrough. November opens a portal into deep self-reclamation. With the Sun, Venus, and Mercury highlighting your second and third houses, the stories you tell yourself about your worth, your value, and your voice are being rewritten. The patterns that made you shrink in love, money, or visibility are rising to the surface, not to shame you, but to set you free. This is a month to reclaim the microphone of your life and speak truth into spaces that once silenced you. On November 4th, Mars enters Sagittarius, which is your third house. You are more direct, bold, and motivated to speak your truth. But watch for mental burnout or verbal impulsiveness. This is a great time to launch a project, podcast, or creative message, but only if it aligns with your real values. On November 5th, we have a full moon in Taurus, which is your 8th house. This full moon may expose buried emotional baggage, financial entanglements, or intimacy patterns that no longer feel safe or sovereign. Something deep is ready to be released. Maybe a soul tie, a shame story, or the belief that your needs are too much. On November 6th, Venus enters Scorpio. So it's time to love yourself louder. As Venus lights up your second house, your relationship to money, beauty, and self-worth becomes the central healing theme. You're being called to stop undervaluing yourself, especially in your work or creative offerings. On November 8th, Uranus re-enters Taurus. So unpredictable emotional shifts may arise around sex, intimacy, or shared finances. But this energy is also liberating. Something that once felt like a heavy chain may suddenly loosen its grip. This is a soul contract, unbinding moment. On November 9th, Mercury retrograde begins in Sagittarius. Miscommunications may spike, but so might downloads. This retrograde is a powerful time for journaling, reflection, or clearing up old conversations that were never truly resolved. Speak slowly, listen deeply, and say what you really mean. On November 11th, Jupiter retrograde begins in Cancer. So you're revisiting long-term visions and success stories that didn't turn out the way you'd hoped. This isn't failure, it's redirection. What legacy are you here to build now that you've outgrown the approval-based goals of your past? On November 18th, the Sun makes a conjunction with Lilith in Scorpio. So this is a moment of radical reclamation. You may feel triggered around money, value, or worthiness, but it's only because Lilith is highlighting where you've been playing small to keep others comfortable. This is a cosmic roar. Don't mute it. On November 22nd, the Sun enters Sagittarius. So again, your voice is magnetic. The Sun brings new confidence to your expression. Your writing, teaching, speaking, or storytelling gifts are being activated. Let this be the beginning of a new narrative about who you are and how you're meant to be seen. On November 28th, Saturn turns direct in Pisces. So work, health, and service come into clearer focus. You've been learning hard lessons around your daily life. Burnout, boundaries, and integrity. Now you can apply those lessons in a way that brings lasting healing to your body and schedule. On November 29th, Mercury retrograde ends in Scorpio. So financial confusion will start to clear. You may get clarity on a payment, contract, or offer that had been delayed. More importantly, your internal story about what you deserve is shifting. You're not chasing crumbs anymore. And finally, on November 30th, Venus enters Sagittarius. So beauty meets boldness in your words. You're communicating with charm, grace, and unapologetic honesty. This is a gorgeous time to launch content, teach, or tell your story. You're not just speaking, you're inviting connection. Some of the best ways for you to work with the energy this month is first to stop shrinking your value to avoid discomfort. The second house activations are asking you to let go of humble patterns that are actually just fear of rejection. You are allowed to charge more, take up space, and radiate confidence in what you offer. Next is to speak through your scars, not your filters. With the third house lit up by Mars, Mercury retrograde, and the Sun, your voice is your medicine. This isn't the month for passive communication. It's time to share what's real, especially if it sets someone else free. Next is to revisit your relationship with power, intimacy, and emotional risk. The 8th house full moon and Uranus energy may stir vulnerability, especially in sex or money matters. Trust the purge. Let the emotion move through you, not around you. Next is to balance ambition with integrity. Jupiter retrograding in your 10th is showing you the difference between public success and soul-aligned achievement. Redefine what a win really means to you. And finally, declutter your nervous system. Saturn turning direct in the 6th invites you to return to grounded routines. Move your body. Regulate your breath. Say no more often. A regulated system equals a radiant self. A great affirmation for you for the month of November is, I am no longer the person who plays small to keep the peace. I honor the fullness of my voice, my value, and my vision. be sure to let me know how the energy of November is showing up for you in the comments below. And of course, love on this video with a like, spread the magic, and subscribe so the universe keeps sending you these vibes. And if you've been feeling stuck, my higher self activation is your energetic reset. Inside, you'll find a guided audio activation plus rituals and journaling prompts designed to reconnect you with the version of you who already knows exactly who she is. So be sure to check it out. The links are below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Scorpio rising. So this month, your power lies in reclaiming your identity, rewriting your relationship to worth, and daring to be fully seen on your own terms. November is a soul level turning point with multiple personal planets in your first and second houses. You're not just stepping into a new chapter, you're becoming someone new. The kind of transformation you've been craving for years is here, but it starts with the question, what am I no longer willing to tolerate in myself, in love, and in how I earn? This month, your magnetism is unmatched, but so is your hunger for authenticity. On November 4th, Mars enters Sagittarius, which is your second house. So you are fired up about finances and ready to go after what you deserve. Just watch for self-worth wounds masquerading as overwork or impulsive spending. This is not about hustling for validation. It's about backing yourself with bold action. On November 5th, we have a full moon in Taurus, which is your seventh house. So a major emotional reveal in love or business partnerships comes with this energy. So this could be a breakup, a breakthrough, or a deep shift in how you show up in relationships. You are seeing clearly now who's truly for you and where you've been abandoning yourself to maintain connection. On November 6th, Venus enters Scorpio. So, of course, this is your glow up transit. With Venus in your sign, your energy is magnetic, sensual, and captivating. But this isn't just outer beauty. This is inner radiance born from choosing yourself over and over again. On November 8th, Uranus re-enters Taurus. So relationship dynamics may shift suddenly. Expect surprises, awakenings, or abrupt endings. This isn't chaos, it's clarity. You're being freed from relational patterns that kept you stuck. And yes, that includes your relationship with you. On November 9th, Mercury retrograde begins in Sagittarius. So money talks, and so does your inner voice. Miscommunications or financial mix-ups may arrive. But this is your chance to review how you speak to yourself about what you're worth. Where have you been undervaluing your time, your gifts, or your magic? On November 11th, Jupiter begins its retrograde in Cancer. So old dreams are resurfacing with this energy. You may rethink a travel plan, spiritual path, or educational goal. Let your beliefs expand beyond what once felt safe. Growth is here, but it's not about credentials. It's about conviction. On November 18th, the Sun makes a conjunction with Lilith in Scorpio. So this is the most powerful day of your year. You may feel fierce, exposed, or fully unleashed. This is about facing the part of you that once felt too much for the world and let her come out of the cage. You're not here to dim, you're here to burn bright. On November 22nd, the sun enters Sagittarius. So your self-worth is center stage. This is the start of a new cycle in how you earn, spend, and feel deserving of abundance. You're learning to magnetize, not chase. On November 28th, Saturn turns direct in Pisces. So creative blocks are going to start to ease. A long-term lesson around pleasure, love, or self-expression is finally integrating. You're learning how to create from discipline and delight. For some, this is a turning point in parenting or a romantic commitment. On November 29th, Mercury retrograde ends in Scorpio. So after weeks of mental fog, you finally feel clear again. You've revisited who you are, what you stand for, and what needs to be said. You're not afraid of your voice anymore. And finally, on November 30th, Venus enters Sagittarius. Your relationship with money and self-worth is being rewritten. This is a powerful time to attract resources, raise your prices, or say yes to a new value-aligned opportunity. You don't just have value, you embody it. Now, some of the best ways for you to work with the energy this month is first, choose yourself daily. With so many first house activations, your identity is undergoing a sacred upgrade. Don't wait for permission to become who you already are. Next is to redefine your relationship with money. The second house is pulsing with energy. Mars, Mercury, the Sun, and Venus are asking, are you hustling for worth? Are you undercharging because you fear rejection? Are you earning in a way that drains you? This is your moment to realign. Next is to let partnerships reflect your evolution. The full moon and Uranus in your 7th house are shining light on your love life. But this isn't just about who you're with. It's about how you relate to intimacy, vulnerability, and mutual growth. Next is to let Lilith liberate you. The Sun-Lilith conjunction in your sign is no joke. You may feel wild, rebellious, or untamable, and that's the point. This is about breaking free from shame-based self-policing. Let your rawness be your radiance. And finally, heal the fear around being seen. This month, you're not meant to hide. You're meant to stand in full view. Flaws, power, and all. The more real you are, the more magnetic you become. A great affirmation for you for the month of November is, I am safe to be fully seen. My truth is valuable. My presence is enough. And my worth is not up for negotiation. Be sure to let me know how the energy of November is showing up for you in the comments below. Be sure to let the algorithm know this hit. So be sure to like it, share it, and subscribe so you keep getting exactly what you need. And if you've been asking, who even am I anymore? My As Above, So Within journal is your mirror, helping you to decode your chart and get honest about what you truly want. So be sure to tap the link below to begin. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Sagittarius rising. So this month, your power lies in reclaiming your identity, renewing your body and mindset, and preparing for a next level personal reinvention. November is your pre-rebirth and rebirth all in one, with Mars, Mercury, Venus, and the Sun lighting up your first house. The spotlight is on you, your body, your energy, your goals, your self-concept. But before the full expression comes a cosmic cleanse. You're being asked to let go of unconscious patterns, spiritual baggage, and soul clutter that you've carried for too long. By the end of this month, you'll feel like you've emerged from a cocoon, stronger, clearer, and fully charged. On November 4th, Mars enters Sagittarius. So you're ready to move. This is high-octane energy, charging your body and spirit with boldness, drive, and momentum. But don't burn yourself out trying to prove something. This is about leading from clarity, not chaos. On November 5th, we have a full moon in Taurus. So a moment of truth in your daily routines, health, or work life comes with this energy. You may be releasing toxic patterns, unsustainable schedules, or over-functioning in ways that drain you. Your body is asking to be honored, not pushed. So be sure you're listening. On November 6th, Venus enters Scorpio. So love and desire go quiet. This is a private, sensual, and deeply reflective transit. You may find yourself drawn to secret cravings, karmic loves, or old relationship wounds resurfacing. Let your heart process what your ego's tried to hide. On November 8th, Uranus re-enters Taurus. So work and health continue to evolve unpredictably. You may be shifting jobs, changing healing modalities, or freeing yourself from productivity prison. Let your lifestyle support your nervous system, not the other way around. On November 9th, Mercury retrograde begins in Sagittarius. So your mind is rewiring itself. Communication issues and mental fog may slow you down, but it's by design. This is your chance to reassess how you express yourself and whether your current direction actually reflects your truth. On November 11th, Jupiter begins its retrograde in Cancer. So this brings big internal growth around intimacy, healing, and shared resources. Old fears about being dependent or vulnerable may arise. This is a powerful time for deep therapy, ancestral work, or confronting subconscious money stories. On November 18th, the Sun makes a conjunction with Lilith in Scorpio. So this brings a wild revelation from your inner world. This may come as a dream, a meltdown, or a spiritual awakening. The part of you that's been silenced, hidden, or exiled is ready to break free. Don't run from your shadow. Dance with it. On November 22nd, the Sun enters Sagittarius. It's your season. This is your reset moment. You're emerging from the fog with more power, clarity, and magnetism than before. Let your intentions for the next year be bold, sovereign, and aligned with your highest truth. On November 28th, Saturn turns direct in Pisces. So, an emotional lesson around home, family, or your internal foundations is now integrating. You've been building a more secure, self-defined inner world. So, what does home mean to you now? What are you no longer willing to carry from your past? On November 29th, Mercury retrograde ends in Scorpio. So the spiritual fog lifts. You're able to articulate what was once unspeakable. If something felt confusing, karmic, or hidden, clarity is now arriving. Trust the wisdom you accessed in the dark. And finally, on November 30th, Venus enters Sagittarius. So, of course, you are radiating. Venus here upgrades your magnetism, style, and connection to self-love. This is your glow-up moment, emotionally, spiritually, and physically, and is rooted in truth, not performance. Now, some of the best ways for you to work with the energy this month is first to honor the reset. With so much energy in your 12th and 1st houses, you're in a death rebirth cycle. You're meant to slow down before you speed up. So let yourself unravel, retreat, and rest so you can re-emerge with power. Next is don't mistake movement for alignment. Mars and Mercury in your sign can create restlessness or the desire to figure it all out. But clarity comes from integration, not overthinking. Focus on who you're becoming, not just what you're doing. Next is to get radically honest with yourself. This month is a self-reflection portal. Your self-talk, your energy levels, your desires, they're all messengers. Instead of forcing a new beginning, listen to the version of you that's dying to come forward. Next is to heal the part of you that hides. Lilith in your 12th house may stir feelings of shame, repression, or spiritual exile. But she's also your fierce protector. She's the part of you that said, never again. Be sure to integrate her. Don't fear her. And finally, let love start with you. By the end of the month, Venus brings her blessings to your sign. You don't need to chase, prove, or perform. You magnetize the most when you embody your joy. A great affirmation for you for the month of November is, I am not who I was, and that's my power. I release what no longer reflects my truth and welcome the version of me that's been waiting to rise. Be sure to let me know how the energy of November is showing up for you in the comments below. And if you love this, be sure to hit like, spread the magic, and subscribe so you never miss a planetary truth bomb. And if you're ready to stop outsourcing your worth and finally come home to yourself, my Venus Activation Journal guides you back to your center, where love, clarity, and wholeness already live. So be sure to check it out. The links are below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Capricorn rising. So this month, your power lies in spiritual healing, intuitive clarity, and surrendering control so your soul can lead the way. This month invites you inward. With an intense cluster of planets moving through your 12th house, the most private, sacred part of your chart, November is less about doing and more about undoing. The themes of surrender, spiritual insight, karmic release, and subconscious reprogramming take center stage. It may feel like you're being pulled back from the outer world, but that's only because something soul deep is being restructured from within. On November 4th, Mars enters Sagittarius, which is your 12th house. So your energy may dip or become more erratic. Don't force productivity. Mars here is a cosmic cleanout, asking you to confront your subconscious fears, hidden motivations, or emotional baggage. Sleep, solitude, and surrender are sacred now. On November 5th, we have a full moon in Taurus, which is your 5th house. So this brings an emotional revelation around love, creativity, or your inner child. Something you've been holding back wants to be fully expressed. Whether that's a passion project, your heart, or your joy, let your light take up space. You don't have to be so serious all the time. On November 6th, Venus enters Scorpio, which is your 11th house. So friendships, communities, and future dreams get a dose of depth and intimacy. You're craving more truth, more substance, more loyalty. This is also a beautiful time to attract new soul-aligned connections and supporters of your bigger mission. On November 8th, Uranus re-enters Taurus. So your creative expression is going through a revolution. You may feel called to explore new forms of artistry, take romantic risk, or liberate your inner child from old conditioning. Let your weird and wild sides be seen. On November 9th, Mercury retrograde begins in Sagittarius. So your mind is in the underworld. Expect vivid dreams, spiritual downloads, and subconscious loops rising to the surface. This is the perfect time for shadow work, therapy, or simply writing your thoughts without judgment. On November 11th, Jupiter retrograde begins in Cancer, which is your 7th house. So relationships are undergoing a heart-level review. You're reevaluating who truly supports your growth and where you may have overgiven or lost yourself in the name of love. It's okay to outgrow dynamics that once felt like home. On November 18th, the Sun makes a conjunction with Lilith in Scorpio. So your voice is powerful, especially in groups. This transit activates your inner rebel, especially around visibility, community dynamics, or social media. Where have you been silencing yourself to fit in? What future vision have you been afraid to claim? On November 22nd, the Sun enters Sagittarius. So it's time to unplug and recharge. This is your season of soul rest, reflection, and sacred solitude before your next solar rebirth. Let November be your emotional detox. What you release now creates space for what's coming. On November 28th, Saturn turns direct in Pisces. So you've been learning deep lessons around communication, boundaries with siblings or peers, and how to speak with both power and compassion. Now these insights are integrating. Your voice is becoming more mature, magnetic, and rooted in truth. On November 29th, Mercury retrograde ends in Scorpio. So clarity returns around friendships, collaborations, or future planning. What was once confusing in your networks is now making sense. If miscommunications happened, this is your chance to repair or realign. Finally, on November 30th, Venus enters Sagittarius. So softness returns. Venus here brings deep inner healing, spiritual grace, and quiet beauty. You may attract love or inspiration in the most unexpected, behind-the-scenes ways. Let pleasure be private, and let peace be your compass. Some of the best ways for you to work with the energy this month is first to prioritize spiritual restoration. You're being asked to slow down, detox, and disconnect from distractions. Create daily space for silence, ritual, and reflection. Even 10 minutes of stillness can shift everything. Next is to trust what's being released. With so much 12th house energy, you may feel things falling away. Old goals, relationships, habits. This isn't loss. It's soul realignment. What's dissolving is no longer in resonance with your next chapter. Next is don't rush your clarity. Mercury retrograde in your 12th means your intuition is louder than logic. Journal, dream, meditate. The answers will come from within, not from analyzing your way there. Next is to express your heart. The Taurus full moon and Uranus in your 5th is asking you to let your joy be revolutionary. Sing, dance, write, flirt. You don't need to earn play. You are creativity in motion. And finally, protect your energy. With Venus and Mercury moving through your most private houses, be discerning about who gets your time and attention. Not everything is meant to be shared right now. So keep your magic sacred. A great affirmation for you for the month of November is, my spirit is my sanctuary. I trust the power of rest, release, and reflection. I don't need to be seen to be aligned. I only need to be true to myself. Be sure to let me know how the energy of November is showing up for you in the comments below. And of course, your 3-second ritual, like, share, and subscribe to keep this energy coming your way. And if you've been piecing it all together on your own, this is your sign to stop guessing. Let's go deep into your chart and get you the answers you've been looking for. The link to grab a spot on my calendar is below, so be sure to check it out. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Aquarius rising. So this month, your power lies in reclaiming your role in the public eye, redefining your purpose, and reconnecting with your vision for the future. November is a soul-shifting month for you, full of movement in your 10th and 11th houses, calling you to realign your career path, elevate your voice, and remember what kind of future you actually want to create. So whether you've been dimming your light, drifting from your goals, or struggling to feel seen, this month begins a major reset. It's time to rise, but first, you must release. On November 4th, Mars enters Sagittarius, which is your 11th house. So your soul circle, goals, and online presence heat up. Mars gives you drive and clarity around who you want to collaborate with, what communities you're aligned with, and the vision you're chasing. Just be mindful of reactive energy or online drama. On November 5th, we have a full moon in Taurus, which is your 4th house. So this is a tender, grounding full moon to bring closure or clarity to a home, family, or emotional issue. You may feel pulled between stability and growth. Something is asking to be released so your root system can evolve. Trust what's leaving. It's making space. On November 6th, Venus enters Scorpio, which is your 10th house. So your magnetism is undeniable. Venus here supports business, career visibility, creative authority, and being recognized for your work. So if you've been waiting to feel worthy of success, this transit reminds you, you already are. On November 8th, Uranus re-enters Taurus. So a long-term energetic shift shakes up your foundation. You may experience sudden changes around living situations, family dynamics, or even your inner sense of safety. Let this be the permission slip to build your life on your own terms. On November 9th, Mercury retrograde begins in Sagittarius. So revisions to group projects, friendships, or future plans may arise. Old collaborators may return, or you may find yourself reconsidering a vision you once abandoned. Don't chase clarity. Let the conversations unfold. On November 11th, Jupiter begins its retrograde in Cancer. So you are reevaluating your relationship to health, service, and your daily rhythm. Are your habits aligned with your deeper purpose, or are they draining you? Don't just be productive. Be intentional. On November 18th, the Sun is making a conjunction with Lilith in Scorpio. So this is a breakthrough moment in your career story. You are confronting shame, projection, or power struggles around being seen. This is about reclaiming how and why you show up in the world. Stop apologizing for your ambition. On November 22nd, the Sun enters Sagittarius. So the spotlight returns to your future plans, creative vision, and soul-aligned communities. Say yes to expansion, but make sure it reflects the real you, not the version others expect. On November 28th, Saturn turns direct in Pisces in your 2nd house. So a financial or self-worth block begins to lift. You've been learning how to ground your value and own your worth. Now it's time to walk in it. You're building something sustainable. Don't underestimate the foundation you've laid. On November 29th, Mercury retrograde ends in Scorpio. So career clarity returns. Any confusion around authority, visibility, or public roles begins to resolve itself. If you've been afraid to take up more space, the fog lifts now. So speak up because you're ready. And finally, on November 30th, Venus enters Sagittarius. So you're magnetizing aligned connections. So this is a gorgeous time for soul friendships, visibility on social media, or launching something in the public sphere. So you don't have to go it alone. Let your people find you. Now, some of the best ways for you to work with the energy this month is first to own your power in public. With Venus, Mercury, and Lilith activating your 10th house, you're being asked to step into your authority without apology. This isn't about ego, it's about soul. So claim your gifts and let the world see what you've built. Next is to redefine your future. Mars, Mercury, and the Sun in your 11th house mean this is a month of recalibrating your dreams and reconnecting with your vision. What kind of future are you chasing? And does it still reflect your values? Adjust the path if needed. Next is to heal your foundation. Uranus and the full moon in your 4th house may bring emotional releases or surprises tied to your home, family, or upbringing. Don't resist what's changing. You're creating a new definition of safety, one that's built from sovereignty. Next is to break the rules and set the tone. Lilith conjunct the Sun in your 10th is major. It's time to dismantle the old narratives about what success should look like. You are here to lead differently. Trust your vision, even if it's disruptive. And finally, let community uplift you. By the end of the month, Venus helps you attract collaborators and soul supporters who get your mission. Stay open. The people who match your frequency are already looking for you. A great affirmation for you for the month of November is, I am safe to be seen, powerful in my truth, and free to lead with purpose. I trust the future I am building. It was written in my soul. Be sure to let me know how the energy of November is showing up for you in the comments below. And if this lit a fire in you, show it some love with a like, share it with your people, and hit subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And if life feels like it doesn't fit anymore, your birth chart is your blueprint back to alignment. My As Above, So Within journal is here to guide you in asking the right questions and help you remember who you are. So be sure to check it out. Grab it in the link below. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching. Pisces rising. So this month, your power lies in redefining your public path, reclaiming your voice, and reconnecting with your higher truth. November puts your 9th and 10th houses under a cosmic spotlight, inviting you to expand beyond your comfort zone and be seen in a new light. Whether you've outgrown an old identity or you're simply remembering who you truly are, this is a month for upgrading your beliefs, goals, and visibility. The universe is whispering, you were made for more. Step up. On November 4th, Mars enters Sagittarius, which is your 10th house. Mars lights a fire in your career zone, pushing you to take bold, brave action toward your bigger goals. You may feel a deep inner urgency to get unstuck, initiate a project, or claim a more public role. You're not here to play small. On November 5th, we have a full moon in Taurus, which is your 3rd house. So a mindset, contract, or communication pattern comes to a peak. This could be the release of an old story that's been limiting your voice or a turning point in a conversation. You don't need to over-explain. You just need to own your truth. On November 6th, Venus enters Scorpio. This is your 9th house. So romantic, creative, and spiritual energy turns toward higher learning and soulful expansion. This is a beautiful time to fall back in love with your beliefs, your personal truth, or a vision that once lit you up. Travel, publishing, or spiritual exploration may also be highlighted. On November 8th, Uranus re-enters Taurus, which is your 3rd house. So Uranus is stirring up your mindset and the way you express yourself. So expect breakthroughs in how you think, speak, write, and share your message. It's time to liberate your voice from old mental cages, especially the ones you didn't realize you were in. On November 9th, Mercury retrograde begins in Sagittarius. So career clarity might temporarily blur. Miscommunication with bosses, mentors, or the public is possible. But this is also a second chance to rethink your professional path or how you want to be known. Don't rush decisions. Let the dust settle. On November 11th, Jupiter retrograde begins in Cancer, which is your 5th house. So you're being asked to slow down and realign with your joy. Jupiter in retrograde says, are you really making space for pleasure, creativity, and connection? Or are you outsourcing your joy to external outcomes? Reclaim your playfulness. Your inner child has been waiting. On November 18th, the Sun makes a conjunction with Lilith in Scorpio in your 9th house. So this is a deep, energetic shift. You're being called to face and release shame around your beliefs, your sensuality, your spiritual identity, or your truth. This is about burning old dogma and making room for your raw, untamed wisdom. You don't need approval to walk your soul path. On November 22nd, the Sun enters Scorpio. So the Sun is lighting up your career path. Visibility, clarity, and motivation returns. What do you want to be known for? What legacy are you building? Let this be your reminder. Your purpose is not performative. It's a calling. On November 28th, Saturn turns direct in Pisces. A personal metamorphosis completes its first chapter. So you've been shedding identities, clearing timelines, and learning to define yourself for yourself. Now you begin to move forward with clearer boundaries, grounded self-trust, and renewed strength. On November 29th, Mercury retrograde ends in Scorpio. So fog is clearing around legal matters, travel plans, education, or publishing. If you've been second-guessing your purpose or path, this marks a turning point. You're not lost, you're just recalibrating. And finally, on November 30th, Venus enters Sagittarius. So your career glow-up energy returns. Venus here supports alignment with your soul purpose, magnetic opportunities, and being seen as the leader you are. You attract more when you stop chasing and start embodying your essence. Now, some of the best ways for you to work with the energy this month is first to redefine what success looks like for you. Mars, Mercury, Venus, and the Sun in your 10th house are giving you a cosmic invitation to rewrite your public story. Don't repeat old professional patterns just because they're familiar. Build a life that actually reflects your values. Next is to speak your truth without diluting it. Uranus in your 3rd house and the full moon in Taurus are helping you release outdated language, labels, or beliefs that limit how you express yourself. Your voice is sacred. Your message is needed. Let your words be a transmission. Next is to reclaim spiritual power. The Lilith-Sun conjunction in your 9th house is about decolonizing your truth. Where have you been told your way of believing, knowing, or exploring the world was wrong? This transit asks you to break free and reclaim your own spiritual fire. Next is to ground your identity. Saturn direct in your 1st house is a major personal milestone. You're not the same person you were 6 months ago, and that's the point. Let yourself evolve. Structure is forming around your soul now. And finally, say yes to soul-aligned visibility. You're entering a season where the right people want to work with you, follow you, or elevate your work. The only requirement is that you stop hiding your magic. A great affirmation for you for the month of November is, I am allowed to define success in my own language. My truth is divine. My vision is valid, and my presence is powerful. Be sure to let me know how the energy of November is showing up for you in the comments below. And of course, if this lit you up, be sure to hit like, share it with your soul squad, and subscribe so you never miss the next download. And if you're craving soul-level clarity and ready to stop spiraling in confusion, a private session with me will meet you where you are and help you see what's really next. My booking link is below, so be sure to grab a spot on my calendar. I appreciate you, and thanks so much for watching.